In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, many of us are found acting, doing the things in an indignified manner. Our dignity, obviously, is one of the extremely important things we do have to protect during our lifetime. And obviously, as and when our dignity is not cared of, we feel perturbed, anxious. Some of us who are slightly sensitive experience more anxiety, while the people who are thick skinned they don't feel much of the anxiousness, obviously. But for those people who remain unhappy and dissatisfied later on, that why did it happen, why I could not act and behave in a respectable manner, why wasn't I treated, I think it is out of our hands. Why wasn't I treated properly is out of our hand. Obviously, it's not in our hands at all. But if at all our own dignity is damaged by our own actions, that is something where we need to take stock of the things, where we need to take stock of our attitudes, of our actions. Today I am going to discuss with you something which is which will allow us to have a sort of insight into the issue so that we could take care of our dignity in a better way, at least in the future, at least in the near future. First of all, we need to understand why do we behave and act in a substandard manner, in a way which is not, which is not dignified for us. Why? There are certain deprivations. All of us remain somewhat deprived in certain things. We are not complete. Some of our necessities remain unfulfilled. Some of our necessities remains unfulfilled. Not necessarily in each and every case, but in so many of the cases. So these deprivations obviously are of two types. One are the long term, which the things which we are experiencing since long. Another some of these or not Another some of these are of momentary nature. Mean only in a given situation only in a given situation we are left unfulfilled. Particularly the things which are of the longer terms, long term deprivations, these are having the very unhealthy effects upon our psyche, upon our attitudes. And we fail to act in a responsible and a respectable manner at all during the, because we remain empty. If at all long term we are experiencing something which is troublesome, which where we are, our desire, our need remains unfulfilled, we cannot act in a dignified manner. Somehow we need to somehow do something concrete about it. First of all, if at all we can fulfill our this necessity, which is usually we don't find ourselves able to do that. In a case like this one, we you do have to use a sort of trick. We need to become a somewhat tricky. We need to take a sort of bypass. We need to underestimate, and we need to underrank, and we need to play down the thing which we were not having, and the thing which we are not having now. I think the both of these things should be ignored, and we need to take something which should take much more importance in our life, which should become a kind of very important factor in our psyche. As far our brain is concerned, as far our mind is concerned, we need to focus upon it. And not only we need to focus upon it, rather we need to magnify it, rather we need to take it, we need to give it a kind of rule that is much more important. And we need to do something which on the one hand which is quite possible for us, on the other hand which is very much honorable as well, which could somehow make us a great human being, which could make us somehow a prominent human being, which could somehow make us a more confident human being. After all, we do have to compensate whatever we were lacking, and whatever we are not possessing, all the things which we are deprived of. I think so that we need to bring certain other things which could take place of the things which are unavailable, the things which are unavailable to us. I think that we need to bring certain other things where we are good at, and we need to polish it so much that it could become our identity on the one hand, and it could give us some sort of satisfaction. But we need not to think much about the things which are lacking. Rather, we need to underplay it. Rather, we need to underestimate it. Rather, we need to keep these things out of our mind. Because if at all, the more we think about these things, I think the more shallow we'll become, the more uncontented we will become. And I think so. This is something which is against our dignity, which is against our self-respect, and we really need to do something